Hello, I'm very excited because I have just set up my vintage computers, including this Lisa, on GlobalTalk. GlobalTalk is a very cool system created by vintage computer enthusiasts, mostly Macintosh enthusiasts, to allow Macintosh computers to be able to network with each other across the internet and do geeky cool things like print on each other's printers and share files and chat. And so I'm clicking over to my Ethernet connection. This Lisa is connected to my network inside of the house here using an Asante Ethernet SCSI to Ethernet connector. That's what I've just enabled right here. And my other computers, except for one, are using just good old regular local talk. And now we should see those zones pop up in the chooser, and they have. There they are. Very cool. Now, the lots of cool things that you can do. I'll talk about the architecture of the network, or at least my network, here in a little while. I haven't made that video yet, but it'll appear as if I instantly did, I guess, if it all works out at the end of this one. One of the many things that you can do with this network is to be able to send greeting cards, copy greeting cards, if you will, to other vintage computer networks that you connect to through the GlobalTalk network. Whoops, wrong volume. So I've made one, and I've never shared this before. And where did I put it here? There it is. So it's called Hello from LisaNet. That's what I call my network, a LisaNet. People have different fun names for other networks. We'll see that in a minute. And I'll open it up in MacDraw. Not the best application, but it'll give you kind of an idea of what that looks like. Because the very early Macs can't show grayscale, they can only show black and white. I use a what's called a picked image, which is just black and white. So here it is. Here's my file. And I'm just going to place it inside of this area, graphics area, so it's going to look bigger than it really is. It's also going to look a little scrunched. There we go. And there it is. So it'd say hello from LisaNet. It's a picture of my Lisa with my trusty lava lamp from NASA and the GlobalTalk logo, and I added in a little Lisa icon here into for the GlobalTalk network little diagram there. So that's what I'm going to share is my greeting card. Again, I've never done this before. We're doing it live here. At least from my perspective, it's live. So what we do is we open up our chooser, and we'll look at all the networks that we can currently see. Now, not everyone is on all the time on GlobalTalk. People pop on and pop off. Some people have theirs running all the time, which I hope to do with mine. It's been running all the time for a couple of days now, but this is the first time I've had the opportunity to actually mess around and explore. So we'll take a look at the first one here, and what we're looking for, there we go, is to see who's sharing a volume. You can also share printers. I'm not set up to do any printing yet. So we'll see what small NAS is. Everybody connects as a guest. It's kind of ironic here because AppleTalk is a superior protocol to TCP/IP4 on the internet. Okay, print jobs, public. We want public. Oh, maybe Dropbox, because Dropbox would be where we'd be able to put something. Let's try both of those. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so local talk, AppleTalk, the protocol is actually more advanced than TCP/IP on the internet. I thought I asked for 2 volumes there. I only got print jobs. What did I do wrong? Here, let's try this again. Maybe I should stop talking and just do it. Oh, because I said it for startup. That's why I'm an idiot. I wasn't thinking. Let's just open this up. Let me select 2. Yeah. And AppleTalk is far more advanced than TCP/IP because TCP/IP was the first ever wide area network. But that's not the way things went. We did a frontal lobotomy and are still using TCP/IP4, bizarrely. I'm going to get rid of this print jobs. Share, we don't need that. And let's see what's in there. So this is actually going through the internet on someone else's network in their house, apartment, or what have you. So here's some of the stuff that they're sharing. I'm sharing some stuff on mine too, and I'll slowly add more as things go. Ooh, goodies. There's software, music. Very cool. So these are things that you share with the community. There are 3 big, that I know of, vintage networks. One of them is FujiNet, and that requires you to buy a FujiNet adapter, a device of some kind. But you can use Apple IIs, you can use Ataris, you can use all kinds of neat things to get interact with FujiNet, play games across platforms. With GlobalTalk, it's mostly things that can talk AppleTalk, which of course would be mostly Macintosh and Lisa computers. So here's the Dropbox. So these are little greeting cards that people have dropped into this person's Dropbox. So how cool is that? One's an application. It's got a couple of applications. So I won't look at these now, but I'm excited to take the time to explore some of these. So I'm going to drop mine in there. So this is the first time I'm dropping my little greeting card in somebody else's network. So I'm going to take my hello from Lisa here and drop it in there. Give it a second to catch up. There we go. And there it goes. Now, LocalTalk isn't especially fast. Actually, technically, I'm kind of using EtherTalk maybe because I'm using SCSI to Ethernet. You do have to be patient with these 1980s network protocols and systems here. It's not really the protocol that's so much slow as the technology used to move it. All right, and that's it. I've now shared my hello from Lisa picture in somebody else's Dropbox, and I can't wait to spend some time exploring. Now, this is originally created as part of, and I think I'm correct in this, perhaps I'm wrong, the Marchintosh celebration, yearly time when people cook up neat things to do with their vintage Macintoshes. So currently it's November here, so I'm going to have a little bit more time to get caught up and do some neat things. So I'm very excited. That was fun. So much more to explore. One other network for vintage computer enthusiasts is the Naboo network. If you haven't heard of that, it's worth looking into. Very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and then the next part of this video, or maybe the next video, depending on how much time I have, will be talking about the architecture of how I got connected to GlobalTalk. Hello again. So what I'd like to do here is give just a little basic introduction to the architecture and a walkthrough from a high-level perspective of what you're doing when you set up the network and join the GlobalTalk network. So I hope my drawings here aren't too horrendous. The goal here is to connect to other people's networks where they're sharing files or have drop boxes for you to put messages and greetings in, or sharing printers where you can print something off on their printer, like an image or something cool, and other geeky stuff. One of the things I'm really interested in is playing games. So that's something that I'm looking forward to working on and trying. Now, in AppleTalk speak, these other networks are called zones. And you can have many hundreds of different zones out there, and hopefully we will have maybe even thousands of zones out there, and hopefully we'll have the GlobalTalk network grow to many hundreds or thousands of people all networking together with classic Macintoshes and Lisas and Lisa and Macintosh emulators. So we get to them by doing something called tunneling through the internet. Tunneling is somewhat similar to a VPN, if you know what a VPN is. Not exactly the same thing, but it has a lot in common. So for basic concepts, that's not a bad analogy. And we connect through our cable router and our Macintosh at home, running a special router piece of software called the Apple Internet Router, or AIR for short. And it tunnels between our network and their network, connecting the two networks together. And basically, that's the gist of it. That's what we're doing. So to get into a little bit more detail on the setup, what I have is a Mac 2 SI as my router. You could get away with just having one classic Macintosh as your router that connects to all of the zones out there on GlobalTalk. But the router chews up some resources and it needs some memory. So if you have two or more classic Macintoshes, then it's probably a good idea to set one of them up as the router and just let it sit doing routing all the time, and then connect your other Lisas and Macintoshes to GlobalTalk through that router. So, a little more detail on the setup. Probably the easiest way to do this, at least for the router portion of this, is what I've done, is I got myself a Blue SCSI, which has the Wi-Fi module in it. They are relatively inexpensive, and they do a lot more than just connect you to a network. They connect you to GlobalNet. GlobalTalk, sorry, blah, blah, blah. They allow you to connect your Macintosh to Wi-Fi to browse the internet. They allow you to put in SD microcards for storage. You'll be able to copy and move files. Blue SCSIs are just awesome. There's also a couple of Blue SCSI-like alternatives, and I can't remember their name. I think one of them is like ZuluNet or Zulu something, but there all are other similar competitors to Blue SCSI. I'm using the Blue SCSI. So it connects to your SCSI port on your classic Macintosh, in my case a Mac 2 SI, because that's the sort of like the most powerful classic Mac that I have. You run typically System 7, set it up, and now with using the AIR software, you plug in the network addresses of the other people's networks that you're planning on connecting to, and it sets up a TCP/IP tunnel for AppleTalk to be able to basically go through this little tube that pipes you through the internet and connects your networks to their AppleTalk networks. And we're not quite done yet. One thing that I found a little bit of a challenge is that you have to go into your cable router. Generally speaking, that should be fairly easy. Most people's cable routers, if you look into them, they have a feature called port forwarding. The port forwarding that for my Spectrum router has a weird function where doesn't want to allow you to set up port forwarding unless it actually sees that port opener in use by a host on your internal network, which I was having a difficult time doing. I don't know if it was an issue with my Blue SCSI or what. So I set up another host, and then once it saw that host on the network, I was able to just swap IP addresses. And I'm thinking what the problem might have been is that with System 7 and the early version of Mac TCP, you can't use DHCP, which means you can't have your cable router automatically configure your TCP IP, your network connection. You have to do it statically. You have to type in your own IP address. So that may have been why the cable router was giving me a little bit of a problem. It was expecting the clients to be DHCP clients, automatically configured clients, and mine wasn't. And so that was it. Then my Mac SI was connected through Blue SCSI, and the cable router was forwarding the correct AppleTalk port to my air router, and I was able to see the other people's zones. Yay! But I wanted to be able to share stuff and also be able to browse using something other than my Mac 2 SI. So optionally, what you can do is what I did here is I plugged in an old style LocalTalk connector. I'm using PhoneNet because it's cheaper and easier to use a telephone wire than it is to use the traditional old Apple branded LocalTalk connectors, but use whatever you want. Plug it into your little printer serial port on the back of your classic Macintoshes and connect your PhoneNet or through make a LocalTalk network, and that allows my PowerBook to be able to get on to the router, and the router brings that in to, and I can see all the other zones out there on GlobalTalk. Very cool. And of course, one of my big motivations for doing this is so that I could use my Lisa on GlobalTalk. So my Lisa has an Asante Ethernet 2 device, and see it here, it's right up there. It's not currently on because I'm using the Lisa operating system. And that connects through a SCSI connection in the back of the Lisa. It has a SCSI card in it. And that connects me directly to the cable router instead of using the wireless, the Wi-Fi of the Blue SCSI to connect to the cable router. And again, you just statically configure the TCP IP. On the Lisa, when I connect, I'm running a Macintosh operating system. So far, it's working great on System 608 and System 755. And that allows you then to connect just as if you were another Macintosh, and Bob's your uncle. You can interact and play games and share files with the people on GlobalTalk and their different zones. My zone, so everything here shows up as my zone to other people, is called LisaNet. And I hope to be able to be leaving my Mac 2 SI going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so that people can leave me messages, and it's always on and ready for me to use when I want to. I've recapped the power supply and the logic board for the Mac 2 SI, so as long as I didn't screw things up too badly and nothing unexpected happens, I think it will be reliable enough to do that. My PowerBook will be what I'll use if I'm using a Lisa operating system or for whatever reason have Lisa doing something else. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope this was helpful to be able to have an idea of how all this works and walk through this. There's some really good documents that you'll find when you look up the GlobalTalk network and Marchintosh event on the internet, and that'll walk you through the instructions of setting this all up. But I thought it might be nice to have sort of like a visual guide to how all this works, which they don't have, at least they don't have yet, in the setup guide for the GlobalTalk. It's a very good guide. It walks you through most everything, and hope to see you guys out there. If you get onto GlobalTalk, drop into LisaNet and send me a graphic hello card, a greetings card. I Don't have any plans of setting up a printer in the near future. If someone comes up with an easy to install and configure virtual printer, then I might do that, and then people can print to my virtual printer, and then I'd get a file instead of having a printer running all the time that spits out paper for people to print on a local network as a way of giving greetings through this. I think the next thing I'm going to work on is getting some games to work. So I've got a couple of games that, as far as I can tell, people haven't been playing yet on GlobalTalk, such as RoboSport is one of my favorites. And then I'm going to get a couple of my other classic Macintosh friends to get connected to GlobalTalk so we can play games across the internet from the comfort of our own homes. Well, like this video. I don't have an official video channel or anything like that, but as I put things out, you'll get notified, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.